Choplifter 2 – Rescue Survive. You pilot a rescue helicopter, and the aim in each mission is to rescue a certain number of hostages while destroying tanks and gunners without getting shot down or crashing into something. You need to pick them up and return them to the headquarters you took off from. The numbers on the bottom of the screen, from left to right, indicate the number of civilians you still need to rescue, the amount currently on board, and the amount you've returned to safety. Any people over the target that you rescue gets you lots of points, with a huge bonus and extra life should you be able to save everyone. For what is essentially a vehicle of war, the chopper is pretty fragile. Death can occur by colliding with a flagpole or a bird, or running into a thundercloud, and can only take one bullet before combusting. Pressing A fires your primary missile, of which you have unlimited. You get a certain number of bombs that you can drop downwards with the B button, which is the safest way to destroy the tanks, as you can hover above the range of their shots while attacking. Having to descend to their level is much tougher as there's so much to crash into. Make sure you clear out the other army before descending to pick people up. They aren't killed by either side's fire, so secure the area first. You're afforded a good deal of maneuverability. If you're facing in a certain direction but then move the other way, the helicopter stays facing the original direction. This lets you nimbly back away from an aggressor while still shooting at them. You need to press the opposite directional button again to point the chopper towards you, which allows you to fire your main weapon directly beneath you, then again to turn it completely around. It doesn't change the speed you move, just the direction of your fire. Pretty clever. Piloting the helicopter is tricky at first as it's momentum based. I've loaded up with the maximum capacity of 10 civilians, only to career straight into the HQ and kill them all. It's easy enough to be really careful while clearing out a level of enemies, only to rush back to the drop-off at the end. The amount of people on a level is usually more than the number you need to rescue in order to complete the mission, but if you kill too many, i.e. you can no longer reach the target, it's game over. Sometimes it's worth picking up 2 or 3 and then flying back to the helipad just in case you do something stupid. The game is divided up into 5 sectors, each of which is split up into several levels. At first you're outside, but later on you'll have to fly into cavernous underground facilities complete with geysers and spikes on the ceilings. I hope by the time you've reached the second sector, you've gained a strong grasp of how to pilot your helicopter, because there's a lot to crash into here. You have a health meter for collisions, but it won't last long if you go careering around the place. There's no time limit, so just be careful. I'm impressed with how everything is quite small but still very clear and visible. You get enough of the world map on screen at any one time to make the game playable. Any closer than it is, and I feel it'd just be too hard. Later levels attempt a perspective with more of a 3-dimensional depth, where you're flying around a city, and it kind of works. It's no detriment to the experience at the least. The intro screen is another one of those flicker on-off deals with a very well-rendered helicopter animation melding in with the logo. It looks great, as do the still pictures you get when a level is completed or failed, and the cutscenes of the helicopter moving between levels. The music and sound effects don't harm the game, they're nothing remarkable but don't grate at all. Choplifter is a franchise that was never a massive deal. It was probably overshadowed by the Desert Strikes series of games, especially here in Europe, which did a similar thing but is a pseudo 3D format that was just more visually impressive. The first game came out on lots of different things in the 80s, but the 2 sequels were only Game Boy and Game Gear, as well as one Super Nintendo version. I'm not convinced it was a selling point for many systems, I could be wrong. What I'm trying to get at is we're halfway through 1991, the Game Boy is almost 2 years old at this point. We're coming to the sweet spot of any console's lifespan, and more often it's turning out that even the mid-card titles can be really enjoyable. We couldn't say that in 1989, that's for sure. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below, and if you can spare a second, give the review a quick thumbs up, it really helps out. Subscribe to the Portable Power Podcast for a new Game Boy review every day from Monday to Friday. Or alternately, new episodes of the podcast drop every Saturday and Sunday on whichever platform you get your pods. See you later on.